We are here. We are here. It's your boy, the coach. Welcome back to the Coach's Huddle where the field meets family. And we are back for another Monday, which you know is cover two with my boy, Jesse. There's so much to talk about. Combine is here. We're in day two. Another position group is reported. Jesse, how you feeling, bro?
I feel fantastic. This is, anytime you don't win a Super Bowl, this is when the optimism just shoots through the roof. Like every single fan, it doesn't matter who you're a fan of, you're like, we got a chance, man. We nailed the
Everybody got a
draft.
chance.
We got all this money in free agency. We go get this guy and this guy and this guy, and then we draft this guy and this guy. We're contenders next year. It's like, all right, well, you're going to get none of them and you'll be happy. But we all get excited every year as if our guy is going to get drafted and make the difference. So I definitely enjoy it. But truth be told, draft is what, couple months away, about a month and a half.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, a lot of kids' dreams are going to be made, and that's pretty special in itself. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it, and I'm here for it as well. We can't be too proud to beg, man. Really, we got to keep our eyes on the track, as far as I'm concerned, which is this is our third full draft since the Trey Lance trade, right? We needed three full drafts, right? Our first full draft started with Ricky Pearsall was our first round pick that we had in about 3 years, I believe. Then we followed up with Michael Williams in the first round, and this year will finally be our third first round draft pick in about 5 to almost 6 years. So I want to always kind of bring back exactly where we were last season in the off season and try to keep the same energy because they are two separate seasons. We tend to let the recency bias of exactly how we ended this current season to kind of carry in and take over all of what we need to do immediately for the offseason, right? Because we're so hot off of the games played. However, if you remember last offseason, and last off season before, we were talking about we need younger guys. We need to get younger. We need to get cheaper. We need to get faster. Like this is the moment for this. So I understand that we can look at other teams and what they're doing, and that's cool. But right now, we are solely fixated on how we can get better. So I'm excited about that. We already talked about the combine. It was underway on Sunday, yesterday. Early arrivals for place kickers, D linemen, and linebackers showed up. Today, early arrival players for DBs and tight ends showed up for Monday. We're underway, bro. So look, there's a lot of things that we've talked about. Who's going to be at the combine? But let's get all of the narratives, push those to the side. What we do know is that John is always going to be at the combine. He's going to speak. He's going to talk about possible free agents and directions of the team. And then also, he's going to get into a lot of different topics. So, with all of that said, because we already know generally how the combine is going to go, we're going to go with our first topic. How much weight do you put on the scouting combine? What matters most to you, right? Because we're not a regular team, right? The Niners kind of march to the beat of their own drum, and there are certain things that most teams are generally enthralled with and they're fixated on, and the organization pretty much lets us know that we don't care. So what do you look forward to in the combine? What do you pay attention to? It generally doesn't matter.
yeah, well, listen, I don't want to like poo-poo the topic and be like, it doesn't mean anything. It does mean a little bit. It's just, I think the most important part is the part that we don't get to see as fans, right? Or media members don't get to see, which is, you're watching these guys go through all these crazy tests and their physicals and the high jump and 3-cone speeds and shuttle speeds and all that stuff, right? But the most important part is the interview process. Like that's where your front office gets to know the players. And we're not privy to that. We don't exactly know how that goes. Now, every once in a while, you get some crazy rumors like Shador Sanders last year, where it's like, this guy's super arrogant. And you kind of just have to take that at face value. But that's the most important part. And, again, like another guy that stands out to me, Keon Coleman a couple years ago, his interview started to make the rounds. Video started to get leaked because
Viral.
he was different. He was just very different. And a lot of people enjoyed it. Some people thought he was a jokester, whatever. But I think that's the most important part. Now, as far as the on-field drills, I really take very little stock in it. However, 40 time is looked at like at the end all be all for a lot of people. It's super strange. But 40 time does matter for certain players. I'll give you an example of a player that I personally am curious about. Wide receiver, Surratt out of Indiana. Big body guy, plays very physical, super solid in college. Right now, he's tagged to go probably a second round pick. I like him a
top
lot.
50 receiver. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Top 50
I right. I like him a lot as a prospect. However, 40 time will matter. If he runs mid 4.5s, it's an issue, right? What you hope to see is that a guy like him can, he's not going to be blazing fast, but can he get to the mid 4.4s or high 4.4s even, stay under that 4.5 mark considerably. Those are the types of things that you're looking for. Certain players that he doesn't play with a lot of speed, but you also want to see that he has some speed to his game because athleticism does matter at the end of the day. Should that mean his draft stock is affected a ton? No, but it is something that you're looking for. And that is the case for certain players around certain drills. Maybe it's a 40-yard dash for some guys. Maybe it's the weightlifting drills. Maybe it's the 3-cone or whatever that drill is. There's a few players that the drills do matter for, but I would say in totality, what we get to see, the pageantry of it, 99% doesn't matter. To me anyways. I don't put a lot of stock into it. What about you?
Number one, I just want to go ahead and let you know I have been doing some studying and some scouting on the recent draft. I'm gonna tell you this right now, Elijah Surratt, if I'd be happy if he runs a high 4.5, he is not running anywhere near a low 4.5 or any 4.4. He's gonna be a 4.6 guy. To be honest with you, he plays like he's a 4.6 guy.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you don't want to see that though. You don't want to see that, right? Like that would be a little worrisome.
All right,
you hope he can break 4.5.
Yes. What sticks out to me is things that are transferable to the Niners, right? So I've had to train my eye as far as like scouting that is, in the little bit of scouting that I have done in the small coaching career that I've had with what the Niners like. You can't, when you scout or you look for players that an organization or a team is asking you to look at or assess, you can't fit a square peg in a round hole and just tell them what you see. They know football. They see what you see. What you have to do is tell them how a guy fits. So with the combine, I'm looking at 40, but I'm looking at 10 and 20-yard split for everybody. I'm looking at 10-yard split for receivers, right? You can look at your guy like Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper Jr., who's kind of like everybody's talking about. He's a yak weapon, the next Debo clone, right? When we look at that 4.5 that he runs, where is that 4.5 along the lines of that 10-yard and that 20-yard split? 3-cone drill. That's going to be something big, especially for defensive linemen, offensive linemen, right? Knowing how to move your feet, the bag drills. I understand that you are not going to win a job at the combine. That is impossible. But you can lose one. Okay? You can lose one. That's what's important. That for me, it's not necessarily everything that you gain from certain prospects who are they're ready for it. They're already going to knock it out of the park. This is the biggest job interview of their lives. You want to see them go through the process. Who can do all of the interviews? And these are things that obviously us as fans, we can't see from our vantage point. But if you're in the building, the purpose of the combine is I want to see you fixated on football for 8 hours today. Right? Have you done that? Usually, you've played, you get 3-hour practice here, 1-hour meeting here, you get to lock in for a game for 4 hours there. But can you clock in like we do every day and wake up and go to work and be about your business all day? Are you going to trail off, right? Find little alcoves to go smoke or go get a snack and dip out of the building? Are you going to be focused from meeting to meeting, right? Are you going to be ready to go for all of your drills? Are you going to be late? These are all little things that they don't get reported, but this stuff happens, right? Guys are late to the field. Guys, their energy is reported that their energy wanes throughout the day. Their focus isn't necessarily there. This guy really doesn't love football. You can tell he's getting irritated with the process. He really doesn't want to be here. Also, some things that I want to see is just everybody involved. There's some guys where the numbers ain't numbering. Like guys are not as tall as they say they are. They don't weigh as much as they say they do. So you want to see those things. And then another thing as well is that it's a milestone for me, right? It's a quarter pole in the race. What I like about the combine is that it gives you something to go off of for a pro day or a 30 visit, right? Now I get to see, all right, you had all of this time to get prepared for me vis-a-vis through your training facility that your agent puts you through, and I get all of that. But now that's the big dump. You did everything for the combine. Now here goes some critiques. Here goes some things that you need to fix. Let's see if you can get that done in 4 weeks to your pro day. Let's see if you can get that done on your 30 visit when I see you for real and you have to come in my building, right? Versus, we don't need to see him for combine, whatever. It's the underwear Olympics. It's cool. But you really do want to see these guys as many times as humanly possible as it permits, just so you can create some type of narrative that correlates what you're going to get on a consistent basis when you get them in the building. So that's why the combine matters to me, because it's intake. It's the process. It's your first time being a professional, right? And I understand now, in the big scheme of it all, is there somebody, like I started this all, is there somebody who completely just helped themselves in the combine and, they became a pro bowler and they go off into the sunset because it all started at the combine? No. But Jesse, you and I both know there are guys where then there's narratives about them that either get confirmed or dispelled in the combine, right? And like I said, there's not a lot of guys that make jobs at the combine, but there's damn sure a lot of guys that lose them. Like, look, I love Sadiq, right? The tight end out of Oregon, right? We also like Freeling. That's another tackle that possibly could fall to us, right? There's other guys. If these dudes come to the combine and they're out of shape, right? They don't run well. They don't look good in drills. Now, I understand all of that does not matter from a standpoint of, oh, this guy's going to be a baller for the Niners. But it would matter to you if they didn't check that box.
Yeah, I agree with that. And my mistake. When I'm talking about Surratt, I said 4.5 and 4.4. I meant 4.5 and 4.6. I want to see him break 4.6 and be in the 4.5s.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He is a big boy. No. And so I'm hoping for, like, when you see somebody like that, you're hoping for 4.5, not 4.4. My mind was elsewhere. Anyways, that being said, I think the other thing too is measurables do matter, especially at the offensive line position. All right. How many times 49ers specifically drafted squatty, short arm guys later in the draft thinking, oh, he can move, he's mobile. And then, the fan base falls in love with him because some content creators think they know offensive line. So then they talk about it and they plug this guy like he's the next great thing. And, everybody's like, oh, this is the one. Here we go. We got a gem. And it's like, well, listen, his arm length is short and he was drafted in the 7th round for a reason. So so those things matter too. Those things do matter.
What was the, I got to remember this guy's name. The center that we thought that we stole from Iowa State, I think, or.
No, it was like Utah and it was like Arizona and it was David West or some shit.
No, his last name started with like an R or something, and we swore. Look him up, Jess. I know you'll find it, bro. That West, West.
Yeah, West. It was some David West or something, right? Wasn't it?
It was like something West, bro. We swore we had the steal of the draft, bro. So yes, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I do believe that. Nugent, the same thing.
West, Connor Colby. Oh, Connor Colby's a guy. Yeah,
what's our boy from? What's that tackle from USC? Kingston. We let him go.
Yeah.
Donovan West.
Donovan West. That's what it was. Not David West.
Yeah,
Donovan
thanks,
West.
guys.
But it was like with an H or something in there. I swear it was like DOHNAV or something. It was like,
Donovan West.
yeah, he spelled his name different. I think I could be tripping, but either way.
Yeah, one thing that I will say about the receivers is they're all slow.
Yeah.
There's no dynamic top end guy. There's speed. You can find it. You're going to get a 4.3 and a 4.4 guy, but as far as just dynamic, take the top off speed guys, there's not a lot of that. Like the number one, like Carnell Tate, in my opinion, is a high number 2. And that's the best receiver in this year's draft. So, we'll see what we can do with receiver. I like Zachariah Branch. What do you think about Casey Concepcion?
Listen, I have a type just like everybody has a type, right?
Okay. Talk to me about your type.
And my type is bigger body guys that can attack the ball and be physical. I'm not a big fan of smaller receivers as is, and I'm certainly not a fan of smaller receivers that can't catch consistently.
Hold on. Now, wait a minute. One thing that you have to put into consideration, this is a small man's NFL. 5'11" at receiver is more than enough.
How much does he weigh?
190. That's more than enough.
Okay.
5'11", 190, that's enough.
It's enough, but it's not ideal.
That's bigger than Tyreek Hill.
I get it, and I wouldn't.
It's
listen,
not prototype size.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to say that that players that are small can't succeed in the league, because we can. I can give you a million examples. I'm just saying I personally have a type. He's not my type. He's not my type. I like bigger body guys. I like bigger body guys. Period. I just do. And it's just like with the offensive line. I want people movers. I look for road graders, people movers. I'm not looking for the fleet of foot guy who can get out in zone block. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that people are wrong for loving those types of guys. I'm just saying, me personally, I like bigger body receivers. I don't know. It's just the way that it is. I want to see 6'1" or taller, and I want to see 200 plus pounds. That's what I look for.
6'1" or taller.
Mm-hmm.
You also know, what do you think about Chris Bell, the receiver out of Louisville? He's a big vertical threat, 6'1", 230. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's size for you. Take a look at Chris Bell when you get a chance. I'm going to get into our next topic.
So what, 6'2", 220, something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into our next topic. Which position group takes priority in the first round? Who should the 49ers be zeroing in on? We had this big debate. I've been having this debate with Chunder Boy. We kind of continued it with the call-in show that we had yesterday. What group do you feel like the Niners need to prioritize, not only in free agency in the draft? Now, if you want to split it up and you have a plan, because I know you do, if you have a plan on what you think that they should go after in free agency, which then opens up them to be able to go after a certain group in the draft, that's fine. But really, the net of the conversation is, what position do you think the Niners should go after in the first round?
Well, I mean, listen, it's easy to sit here and be like, BPA, give me BPA, but
don't do that.
Right. I'm not going to.
Okay.
And this is going to change a million times, right? Because how many times have you mock drafted in February, and then you get to a week before the draft and mock draft boards change significantly because we start hearing things, right? Guys start flying up boards that you didn't expect, whatever. As it stands right now, it's exactly where we should want it to be. We've complained about the offensive line year after year after year after year. And the way that I see it, where the 49ers stand, they are in a perfect spot to go offensive line. And the reason I say that is because when you look at it, interior offensive linemen, it's like there's this, not a myth, but a lot of teams or a lot of people grading players stay away from interior offensive linemen, unless you're like a Nelson or just like generational, they stay away from interior offensive linemen in the top 10, top 15. Well, the 49ers are well outside of that, which means if the best guard of the draft is there, whoever you think that is, you can go that route. Or even center, right? You can go that route. But there's also going to be at least one of these tackles that fall. Like there's some good tackles in this draft. One of them will likely be there. So I think the 49ers are going to have their choice between a pretty good interior offensive line guy and potentially a tackle in this draft, whatever they see fit. But I think offensive line is there for the taking. I really do. And when I look at the receiver position, I could see them going receiver in round 1. Receiver is certainly a need. To your point, though, a lot of these receivers probably are more round 2 guys. And I just look at the crop of receivers that, as of now, look to be potentially there in round 2 versus the guys late in round 1. And I don't think there's enough of a difference to jump at a receiver late round 1 if it falls the way it seemingly is trending at this moment. So for me, I think offensive lineman, an interior offensive lineman, is a possibility here.
A little bit of pushback.
Okay.
There's really only one guard that's worth being a first round pick this year.
Who?
And that's Vega Lone, the guard out of Penn State.
Penn State,
right?
Yep.
So I forgot his last name. It's like Iowane or something. So Vega Iowane. The next best guard or interior lineman, whether it be right guard or center, is like a third round pick. The next best guy. I don't think anybody, unless Vega Iowane drops or Chris Besantis, the guard from Texas A&M, which I think that he's a late second round pick, and that's being generous. He's really a third round pick. I just think as far as value is concerned, getting an interior offensive lineman in the first round would be a reach.
But I think Vega's got a chance to actually be there, though. That's kind of my point. Like I think
That's
they
true.
could be looking at Vega as a possibility there. And I think that, whether it's a Freeling or maybe a Lomu, although I think he'll probably be gone. I think one of those guys will
Lomu might
potentially be there too. I think one of those guys potentially might be there. So you could be choosing between a Vega and one of those guys.
There's a lot of day 3 and solid. There's a lot of solid day 3 depth in offensive line for this year's draft.
I agree with that.
That's not here to say that there are guys that can't come in during those times, during those positions in the draft and play for us right away. I really love Trey Zoom from Texas A&M, right? I'm also a big Logan James guy. There's the guard that everybody loves that we're talking about, Jennings Dunker. He's a top 75 guy, right? But also, these are guys that are like third round guys, and these are top 5 in their position group in the draft. For me, at 27, we kind of get in that no man's land of, are we really going to get a true first round pick, or are we going to have to like acquiesce and excuse away something that we pick? Like, and I'm no shade on Ricky Pearsall, but that was the energy when we picked Ricky Pearsall. I believe one of the biggest reasons why everybody loves the Michael Williams pick is because it felt like a first round pick. It felt like we got the 11th overall player in the draft. Now, what's dope about this year's draft is I really think that the top 10 players of this year's draft would knock down the top 10 players of last year's draft. This year's draft is far more talented than last year's draft in terms of just elite guys that you would say, this is a first round player. This is a first round guy who deems to be drafted. Like, that's what I believe. With that said,
really? Okay.
With that said, I think that because the draft is so rich, a lot of position groups are going to get drained early. Edge is going to go. Receiver is going to go, right? There may be a run on DBs. There's not a lot of good DBs. And I know there's some people that need DBs, that Caleb Downs is going to go. I believe that by the time we get to 27, Kenyon Sadiq, the number 1 tight end in the draft, could be sitting there for us, right? That's a force multiplier. I know that we talked about What's the one guy that can carry into the core? What do the Niners have to be excited about moving into the next iteration of their team? And George Kittle, you're not going to replace George Kittle with a free agent, right? I understand that the Kyle Pitts story was cool for a while until they franchised his ass.
It's Isaiah Likely. It's always been the Isaiah Likely hype train over here. I just want to be clear.
I feel you. I'm not gonna lie. You and your 3-4 fans, I got y'all. Y'all are cool. But for me, I think that this is a real move that says, like, all right, we believe in you, George. You're gonna be back. You're fighting to get back. But we also understand that the run game and the offense is completely different without a starting caliber tight end. Now, I understand that George is Hall of Fame class personified, but the facts is that the drop-off of what we have as a number 2 tight end aren't even close to what George gives us at 80%. So we need another guy. We need another dynamic pass receiver for Brock. He's a good blocker. All right, this guy's dynamic in the open field. This is the type of guy that would really make all of these quasi safeties that everybody's touting so much. Let's see if you can really cover, because I can run. Okay, he's a weapon. So I wouldn't be mad. It's not the fact that I'm so bought into Kenyon Sadiq. I would love to pick, but I'm more focused on the mindset of what we need to do. I understand that we want to get better, but we need to stab good, dynamic guys, right? And getting a really good guard, I understand that, but it just doesn't jive with their methodology. They don't prioritize the offensive line. So why would they go get a guard in the first round when they've gone to get Dominic Pooney? What did we get Dominic Pooney in the second or in the third? We got him in the third. And he started. He was a plug-and-play player for us. I don't see them turning right around and spending a first-round pick on the interior offensive lineman. Now, it would be very forward-thinking for them to go get a tackle right now, especially if somebody like a Monroe Freeling, who, quite honestly, he needs a year, but he's very close. That would be amazing. But come on, man. I don't trust them like that. They're not going to do that. That sounds too much like right. So I believe that your methodology of them going to get like a really good guard, they can find that in the third round, Jess. They can find that. Hell, they can find that in the fourth round.
To be fair,
really,
you asked
it falls
what
into what they do.
I would do, what I
Not
would
mad
do,
at you.
not what they're gonna do, right? What they're
That's
gonna
true.
do is completely different. So then that begs the question.
Okay.
And this is a question that I posed to my chat in the poll, and I'll ask you flat out.
Okay.
Do you trust the 49ers to have a good draft? Based off of their track record, do you trust that the 49ers can get it done and knock this draft out?
I have to.
Okay.
I got to. Like, what am I going to say? No? Right? I have to. I can't say no when I'm excited about Upton Stout coming back. I can't say no when you know what I'm saying? I can't say no when I'm excited about the players that they've literally drafted coming back. Now, I get it. The track record is not good, especially in the top half of the draft. It's really bad. They've missed more than they've hit. However, we've got to get younger. They've got to take the shots. They have to draft these guys, right? So I'm more interested to see what their version of revamping this team and getting younger is. I have my ideas about what I think they should do, but that's fine. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do based off of my experience on what the draft is giving us, because I see a lot of opportunities here. Now, that, to be fair to you and your discussion, they've been in positions where they had a lot of options and it was head scratchers along the way. 2 years ago, we could have had the same caliber of offensive line that the Rams and the Seahawks do right now if we would have bought into the draft 2 years ago with that offense, with that draft that it was pretty much the most talented offensive line draft in the past 20 years. And we walked away with Dominic Pooney. We got a starter out of it, but I think they could have did more. I do believe that we need to do something at guard, but your whole guard theory, I believe that goes out the window if we get Isaac Samalo. from Pittsburgh. And I believe that's something that they would love to do. Another older veteran guy that can stick right next to Trent at left guard. He's much better and just gives consistency on what we haven't seen on that side of the ball, on that side of the offensive line for a while. But yeah, I have to trust him, Jess, because if I don't, I'm not streaming. Like if I don't trust them, if I don't think they're going to do a good job, it's just like, all right, then, I'm completely cynical. I'm completely lost.
I don't trust him.
Okay.
It's hard for me. Listen, I don't pretend to be any sort of draft expert. I put in as much work as the next guy, to know the names. I have my mock drafts and my favorite players year in and year out. But there are people that I really trust their opinion when it comes to the draft. Like David knows the draft, man. This guy,
yeah, David's a beast.
I mean, he is a beast when it comes to the draft. And every freaking year, man, he puts out a My Guys list. He always has a final My Guys list. And this is why I stream with him during the draft. Dude, he knows everybody, it feels like. And he knows them inside and out. And it's hard for me to look at the 49ers and what they've actually drafted. And then after the draft is over, David always has his shadow draft. Well, this is who was available when they drafted. This is who I would have gone with. And for like 5 years running, his draft has turned out to be way better than the 49ers. Not even close. Like, not even close. And so when I see that, and I know that there are scouts, that this is their job, and they work all year round to figure these prospects out. I am not sitting here and pretending that David knows more than those guys, because those guys do it all year round. But somebody in that front office seems to be maybe nipping the scouts in the butt when it comes to taking players that maybe are suggested. It feels like somebody is over the top of the scouts going, yeah, I like your opinion, but we're going to reach for this guy, or we like this guy. This coach likes this guy, so we're going to go here. That's what it feels like. It just seems weird to me. It's hard for me to trust in a team that this is your sole focus, and I got a guy on my stream that every year outdrafts you. Like, that's not good. That's not good. That's not okay. It's not okay. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, Niners do need to hire David. David is really good at the draft. I can attest to that. I agree with this comment as well. The Niners always outsmart themselves. It is true. One thing that I think that stands to reason, and I believe that we talked about this before, either on the phone. Man, we talked so much. I don't know. Maybe this was on the stream or not. But what the Niners are doing fiscally really does guide how they draft. Right? If they've got a lot of money in a certain position or a certain side of the ball, and they're looking for guys to actually kind of pay what they weigh, I've seen them like actively not draft in that position, like what they're doing with running back, like their excuses for picking up Jordan James and maybe getting late round guys. But the reason why they're doing that is because all of their money and their assets are in Christian. Right. And it's like we can't afford to have another guy that gets paid at some type of scale. And then now this guy's locked in from a position where, yeah, we got caught playing draft because this guy was the best pick and best available. And yeah, also he's amazing because from on paper, he's going to help us out. But now what we have to do is when I build my offensive game plan and figure out who I want on the field, I don't want to have to go back to Jed as if I'm Kyle. I don't want to have to go back to Jed and explain to him like, yeah, we're winning, but remember how I told you that Christian really needed that $90 million and he's only averaging maybe about 17 touches a game? That's just how we're doing, right? And the audacity of rich people, Jesse, is they say they just want to win, but no, they don't. They want to win their exact way. All right. Yeah. And for us, we would think from a normal standpoint of, man, a win is a win is a win, dude. If we had to get more rookies to help out Christian, or if we got an all-star in that offensive line draft 2 years ago, we went out and got an all-star center, right? Or we went out and got the guard that we needed, or we had Trent's replacement playing guard and now he's ready to go. Now, all of that may come out in wins. It really would. But our books are in shambles. And now there's a lot of contingencies and a lot of standing on tables and going to bat for guys to get guys paid, where owners will have conversations where they'll say, yeah, we won, but I will never trust you on what guys need to get certain contracts, because one thing about it is that a job that I have is we work on a budget. And if anybody who knows how budgets work on a job, if in your department, is everybody gets an allotment of money for your budget every year. And you need to use all of that money, because if you don't, and you have $7,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 left on your budget, that money gets deducted next year for your new budget, because they don't look at you as saving. The organization doesn't look at you as saving them money. They look at you as, oh, you're getting way too much money in the first place to operate. So if you've shown that you can do this with less money, if you've shown that you could do this with you could just go in the draft and pick guys and draft guys and bring them in and just move guys around, then hell no, I'm not signing any long-term deals. You go out in the draft and go get it done. So there is a world where the human element and how the team is built and how there is a core, right? And sometimes the core gets protected by drafting a certain way that supports the core, not competes with the core, right? There's a world where that's true. Now, Kyle would never say that out loud because fans will go berserk. Like, you mean to tell me that you don't get the best guys available at the position that is needed for the team? And if he gave him some truth, if you gave him some truth serum, he'd tell you, no, I don't. Because some of my dogs is getting paid to do these positions. So no, we're not going to create competition at this position. Even if it looks, even at the chagrin of us looking like we don't know what we're doing in the draft. So yeah, in a vacuum, everybody can pick the right guy for the right position before this team gets him and plug and play and he be amazing. But dude, players call coaches, man. Like, after people get drafted, like, what's up? You need to let me know something. You know, am I fighting for my job? Let me know what's going on when I come into camp. So there's that side of it too. It's not just fantasy where you just collect guys and everybody feels amazing about guys being in the locker room. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is real life and all of that. I just, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to trust it. One of your topics, and I mean, we can jump into it. I don't want to rush the show along, but you know, have we had enough time since the Trey Lance draft essentially to move past it? Like, to say that we're done. Like, you've had enough years. This is now your third first-round pick. It's been, what, 5-6 years since you drafted Trey Lance?
21.
This is only a question because the 49ers have missed so badly on so many picks since this point. If the 49ers had somehow nailed a couple of these drafts, this still wouldn't be a topic of conversation. It's like we're trying to find an excuse to let the 49ers off the hook here. It's like, well, you know, Trey Lance was only 5 years ago. I mean, how do you expect him to get over the breakup? It's only been 5 years, guys. Like, right? Am I right? Like, no, man, it's been 5 years. This is the third first-round pick that we've had, and so far, there's a possibility that they're 0 for 2 on those. They haven't done well in the second round either. Now, it's just... it's hard to trust this team to do the right thing. And you know as well as I do, Coach, I know that you've been more optimistic about this whole offseason thing than I have. Mm-hmm. And kudos to you for that. But a part of your optimism is a little bit of blind faith, a little bit of fandom, like trying to take over, where it's like, man, I really want them to do well, so I think they can. You know, they did draft that one guy the one time 7 years ago, so maybe they could do it here. But realistically, if you're looking at their track record, coach, it's hard to put together a case. You talked about business and your job outside of this and how things work. If you're putting together an ROI for the 49ers draft, it's really, really hard to fudge some of those numbers and make them turn green when you know they're red. It just is.
I agree with that.
And that's what's hard. That's what's hard. So it's like, to me, the 49ers are at a point where I'm not saying they can't draft well. That's not at all what I'm saying. But going off the track record, it hasn't gone well. So they're going to have to prove to me that they can draft well. Like, they haven't earned that respect from me over the last 3, 4, 5 drafts to where I can be like, you know what? I'll blindly trust you. More often than not, you get it right, because right now, more often than not, they don't get it right. So they're going to have to earn that back from me as a fan before I can trust them again.
All right. Yeah, I just feel like, saying ROI on a team, like, from your perspective, the Niners must live in free agency and just acquire guys. There's no development whatsoever. And we know that's not true. I think that the Niners have a problem with the top end of the draft, right? First, second round, right? They struggle. Third round is Kyle's. That's a wild card. We have some of the most eclectic third round picks of all time. But I do know that a lot of what they've done with the draft has been directed, right? And it's very hard to go in the draft looking for a specific recipe of what you need. And that's what we've seen. And it's been where we've kind of ignored general thought of guys that we know should be drafted in certain positions. And I understand that. Like, the draft within of itself, winning and losing the draft, like, I get that. I don't know how much that matters. I do know that our biggest issue isn't all of these rookies that we've had in here that have not done good for us. No, our problem is that we haven't had enough rookies, period. That's our problem. Our problem isn't we're blowing all of the first round picks. Our problem is that this is our third first round pick in the last 5 to 6 years. Like, that's our issue. We need more cracks at the back. We need talent in here. You can't say that they're horrible at the draft. I'm not saying you personally, but there can't be a narrative that the Niners are horrible at drafting, and then we start seasons with saying, but the core is so old. The core is too old. What are we going to do about this core? Why are they still leaning on the core? The narrative when we closed out the season was, who can the Niners hang on to? What can the Niners be optimistic about moving on into the next season? Dude, what door? You got to give them a door to walk out of in any of your arguments. It's, on one hand, the core is old, they lean on them too much. On the other hand, they're not good at drafting, they don't bring in young guys. On the other hand, they're spending way too much money frivolously, they need to get the money down. The opportunities are there for them to handle these things, and they may not be doing it exactly how you want. But Jesse, we do have rookies that we're excited about moving into next season. We do have things that were worse last season that are better now. Our defensive line, much better than what it was before, and it still needs a lot of work, all right? But all of the things that we did by blowing free agency contracts, having guys that we had to move on from, taking on $80 million of dead cap throughout this season while still winning 12 games in a road playoff game, I'm going to put my hat on that, bro. We need to get younger. So that's what I'm optimistic about, right? As well as bringing Coach Gray in here and Raheem Morris, but that's beside the point.
I'm trying to see something. 17. Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
I have
4,
the drafts
5,
up.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've
18
had
draft picks.
What? 28
18
picks
first
in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those guys are you truly excited about?
18 picks in the last. Go ahead.
28 picks in the last 3 years. How many of those guys are you truly excited about?
What do you mean?
I mean,
Honestly,
honestly, the whole by the end of this offseason, if D Winters gets cut, and there's a possibility he gets cut, just so you know, the 2023 draft, so 3 years later, every single one of those players that they drafted will not be on the team. That ain't good, brother. That ain't good. I don't know how to slice it.
Riddle me this, Batman. Why would D Winters get cut?
Because you can save some good money if you cut him.
And replace him with who?
I mean, you've drafted a linebacker last year in Nick Martin. You got Tatum Bethune. You got Fred Warner coming back.
But that's my point. If D Winters can't stay on this football team, that's not the Niners picking a bad player in the draft. That's D Winters not developing and getting better. If D Winters gets moved on from, that's the problem. Good football teams get rid of players, man. All right? So if D Winters is out of here because he can't hack it, that's on D Winters. I don't understand that. If Nick Martin ascends to a level where D Winters gets cut, that's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have.
I guess what I'm saying is that in 3 short years, every pick you make in a single draft is now not on your team because they weren't good enough to hack it. Like that's not ideal, man. It's not ideal. I'm just saying it's. You can't throw away whole drafts.
You know why
man.
All right, let me stay here with you. You know why the conversation with D Winters is here is because there have been instances where we looked at D Winters as regressing, correct?
Sure.
That he's regressed. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. We've talked about it. The problem with that is that if he's regressed, what used to happen is if a guy wasn't doing his job on this team, he would get yanked or he wouldn't even find the field. That's how it used to be, right? The problem is that when we see a Renardo Green struggling, when we see a D Winters struggling, all right, there's nobody else to take them off the field with. There's no depth. There's no competition. So what I'm saying to you is that if D Winters is our starting Sam linebacker coming into next year, and we don't see a huge uptick of like, yo, D has came back in shape. He's bigger, stronger, faster. He's really got a knack for the game. If that's not the conversation about D Winters, and we're still gaslighting like D Winters is a really good Sam linebacker, then I'm gonna be scared. I'm not gonna be sitting here saying, oh, that's another draft pick that the Niners kept that we can hang our hat on. If he's trash, he's trash. And if D Winters loses his job, I'm going to be excited about that because that's going to tell me that we got depth. Guys are getting him out of here. What did I talk about when we picked up, there were times where we picked up that tight end, Logan Thomas from Washington, right? And everybody was like, oh man, we may have a number 2. And what did I say? I said, dude, if that guy makes the team and actually is our number 2, that's an indictment on our tight ends room. Not the fact that we got a weapon, because we know what he is. So we need to build depth. We need to get more young bodies in here, period. I understand in the guise of, hey, did the Niners hit on every guy? Are we going to get another George Kittle? Are we going to get a Nick Bosa? Are we going to find a Fred Warner in the draft? Maybe. I don't know. But I know we need more young bodies to find out because what we got right now ain't enough. And I don't want to be strapped to these guys, right? The story of Darrell Luter Jr., the story of Jair Brown, the Drake Jackson stories, like those stories last too long because you don't have depth to get rid of those guys. So if it's time for those guys to move on and we actually have somebody to fill in to get him out of there and he got beat out, that's what's supposed to happen.
From 21, 22, and 23, you had 26 picks. Going into this next season, if you're lucky, 3 of those 26 will still be on the team. making some sort of impact if you're lucky, but there's a good chance it's less than that. Like,
what percentage of a
dude,
draft? What percentage of a draft has to be successful for you?
I don't know, more than two out of 26 picks. I mean, you keep saying like they need more swings.
I'm asking you.
How many more swings do you need
in a draft? All right. So what are you proposing though? Give me a solution.
I'm basically just saying, like, the whole conversation has been, do you trust this team or should you trust this team to draft? And I think the evidence is a resounding absolutely not. Based off of what?
That's not the question. The question is, have they officially caught up with their asset deficit?
But I started this whole Trey Lance thing with, we've had enough drafts now to be past it. And the only reason we're still talking about the Trey Lance thing and like wondering if it's like, man, I don't know, the Trey Lance thing really put him behind the 8 ball. But it's like, well, the 2 drafts after Trey Lance and the draft before Trey Lance weren't good either. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if they had drafted well to this point, we wouldn't be talking about this deficit. It wouldn't even be a thing.
I understand, but I don't want to put you on the spot, but you've got a lot of data that you can pick apart and say this guy didn't make it, this guy didn't make it. The Niners are not good at drafting at this in the draft, especially in the first half of the draft, and all of that can be true. I simply ask, what is your solution?
Either get new scouts or listen to your scouts if you're not listening to them. You cannot have guys come late into the process, i.e. your coaching staff, assuming that's what's happening. Again, I'm simply saying, to me, I highly doubt you have a team full of incompetent scouts in the building. This is what they do all year round. So one of 2 things is happening. Either you're not listening to your scouts and you're taking opinions of guys who don't do this all year round, i.e. your coaches, and you need to stop that, or you need new scouts if you truly are listening to your scouts and it's been this bad. So that's all I'm saying. Like, whatever the process is right now, it's not working consistently. It's not. You have teams under the table out drafting you every single year. Now, the 49ers do some amazing things, right? You talked about having more swings, more at bats, basically. They need more draft
that matters.
Picks. It does matter, but they've had a lot of draft picks, maybe not in round 1, right? Obviously, because of the Trey Lance trade. We talked about that. But they've had a lot of swings. And the reason that they do is because they do a fantastic job of managing the compensatory system. That's one of the better things that the 49ers do. You talked about development. I do believe that the 49ers actually develop pretty well in a lot of positions. But you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit time and time and time again. And the 49ers draft, their process, whatever it is they're doing, is a mistake. And every year we sit up here and go, well, according to the big board, you reached by about X amount of spots. And I forget, I think it was, there's a guy that puts out like a bunch of 49ers data. And he usually does a good job of like painting the 49ers in a good light. But man, the reaches and how much the 49ers reach according to the consensus big board compared to other teams is an astronomical difference. Like, they're the biggest reaching team, and it's not even close. Not even close. And then you look at it and go, well, a lot of people will defend it. Well, I mean, who's to say who the big board is and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, okay, that's great. But when you're also not drafting well and you can say without a shadow of a doubt, this team doesn't draft well and they reach more than anybody according to the big board, you probably have an issue. Maybe you should at least stick closer to that big board. Maybe it does mean something. I don't know. They have to change the process. Whatever that process is, only they know, but it's broken somewhere. They have to fine tune it. They just do.
All right, man. Let's get to some sleeper and then knock out some super chats. Get out of here, man.
All right, let's do it.
Definitely. All right. So talk to me.
All right. Promo code LSS to get your free $20 entry. And right now is the best time to play Sleeper. Yes, the football season's over. I get it. But before and during the season, what you would have noticed is that you could only do player picks. So you could choose a player and pick a more or less on yards or catches or what have you. Sleeper has revamped the whole game. Now you can pick teams against the spread. You can take future picks. So, for example, I've got $7 down on the 49ers as a future to win the Super Bowl next year. That would land me $125 at the moment. This is a whole revamped Sleeper. So they've literally got you covered everywhere, from your fantasy football to your player props, to your team props, to your futures. They've got it. Link is pinned to the top of the description. In my description, promo code LSS will get you a free $20 play without even making a deposit. And you've got all of those things at your disposal. Check out Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy football app out there. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to some supers.
Let's get to some supers, man. We got quite a few. First off, $20. Smells like foot in here. I love that name. Not finding a QB is why Kyle Shanahan never won a Super Bowl in SF. Brock Purdy included. They built one great core. Kyle Shanahan wasn't enough. He needed that extra help and didn't have the QB to give it in that big moment. And I don't think they can build another.
The quarterback is the original sin. Honestly, it really is. Like going back to that first draft with Patrick Mahomes and Watson,
not scouting Patrick
and
Mahomes.
then not taking Tom Brady when he was a free agent. Then also not trading for Matthew Stafford. I mean, there's a lot of little sins along the way, man, and it all stems back to that quarterback position.
With Mac Jones at 12.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a lot of blunders, to be real. PGZ206, salute fella, salute, bro. Gammon 9898. I like bigger body guys, period. Jesse 23 February 2026. I was letting you cook, but they were frying you in the chat when you were going over your receiver take.
I like my big body guys. I like 2 C's thick.
Yo, chill out, son. Hey, yo. That's a whole 187. So another year of drafting D-line or weapons Kyle wants but won't use. Yeah. I don't look now, but I believe that they're going to go D-line in the first round. I think Peter Woods is a guy that they may go after. I think they'll go D-line. They need it. We need more D-linemen. We need interior D-line. We need to get younger and faster at that position. Also, Alfred Collins can't be the one sole 3 technique that we have. He can't be the only guy, dog. Like, I love Kalia Davis. I do. But, hey, there's a ceiling there. There's a ceiling there. I wouldn't mind going Peter Woods if he's available at 27. Sean, for the win, the conversations I have in the offseason are way more satisfying than buying into the pipe dream of them being smart. Best decision they made in 10 years was Brock Purdy contract, and it was an overpay. Yeah.
He's basically saying the best decision was not a good one. All right, perfect.
Basically, Sean for the win, $9.99. Jerick McKinnon, D. Ford, Kinlaw, Reuben Foster, Lance Ayuk, McGlinchey, Solomon Thomas. I ain't got enough super chat money to list the BS. Drake Jackson, Brown Pettis, Jalen Hurd. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that missed.
Hold real quick, because to your point, and I think you bring up a really good point, Coach, and I did kind of just gloss over it earlier, and I want to give it credit. You're like, listen, the team has to be good at something, right? You can't just sit here and be like, well, they're too old, they don't draft well, they don't develop, coaches are overrated, but they continue to win, right?
I want
like
you
it's
to
impossible.
Die. Yeah,
right.
Like there's no way out.
Can it just simply be that they are really good at coaching? They are good at coaching, like they are, and
okay.
but
can I be real with you?
You can be a great chef, but man, if you're getting bad ingredients, you can only do so much, man.
Well, the mark of a true chef is to be able to cook with inferior ingredients. To be real with you, that's the service That's the service credo. Anybody who works in kitchens should know that. But anyway, can I ask you something though? When you say this, not just you, but when people have like this 360-degree argument, right? Where it's everywhere you turn, there's an issue, right? It does seem like it's a dog whistle of, and I'm not saying you, Jesse, but it does sound like a dog whistle of, I want him fired, but I just can't say it. Like, I'm just inconsolable. I don't care what they do. They don't do anything right. Nothing really matters to me, and I want them gone. That's kind of the energy it is, because there has to be some type of path that you say, all right, I have a pathway of sanity. I have a pathway of self-awareness where at least they know we're on the same page. I understand what they're doing, and I can see what they're doing. And there has to be some type of milestone or certain things that say to you, say, all right, well, I see where they're going right now. Like, if I looked at them the way I love to look at football, from the inside out, meaning that you got to start with a good O-line, man. My football team is going to have a good O-line, right? But I've had to let that go, right? It is like it took over my assessment of being a fan of them, because I couldn't just get over the fact that they don't see offensive line the way I do. Or at least they can't do anything about it at this junction of where they're at right now as a team. And I don't see that. So as a fan, I'm just saying to myself, why won't they address this? But early on, you could see they did try. They went out and got Lincoln Tomlinson. They made Weston Richburg the highest paid center in the NFL at the time, I believe. They had Joe Staley. All right, they went out and got Mike McGlinchey, where we could say that Mike McGlinchey wasn't a good draft pick, but Mike McGlinchey went and got another. We couldn't afford to keep him. So say what you want about Mike McGlinchey, but we could not afford to keep him. All right, and he went out and got a second deal. And for the pass protection, it was bloody murder. All right, it was. He had some lowlights, but really, what Mike McGlinchey was all
Parsons just one-handed body slamming him.
Low lights, my dog. I'll give you that. He had some low lights. All right, but in the run game is where he shined, right? And for me, is Mike McGlinchey better than Colton McKivitz?
Yeah, he is.
I was looking for a more emphatic yes. Jesus Christ.
He is.
But so look, it all plays. Thank you, Sean, for the super chat. Dazza 0187. The Rams threw away their draft picks and won a Super Bowl, went through a rebuild, and are dominant again. Trade was bad, but they've had time to fix it. Yeah, this is the third year. They needed time to fix it. And in those times where we cooked the books with Trey, this is kind of like getting tapped in the nuts. It takes about 5 seconds for you to really get the effect, all right? What we did with Trey, the reason why the rest of the league, and we've all got friends and families of other teams, and there was a real ire towards the 49ers for the whole Trey Lance situation. And it wasn't even because it was about Trey Lance. What it was because the traditional rule of thought is a team that cooks the books on a number 3 overall pick that they traded up to go get, they don't go to the Super Bowl. They don't win games. They're not going to NFC Championship games. They damn sure ain't moving on with Mr. Irrelevant as their quarterback to keep it moving. So we've had a lot of things happen for us that doesn't happen for the normal team. And it is a little bit of comeuppance. You've got to see that. You have to see that we, in a way, for what we did with the Trey Lance trade, we did not deserve those years. If everything was supposed to happen to us the right way. Moving on from Trey, we're not supposed to have a quarterback for a long time. Brock Purdy saved us. So now that we're coming back talking about how bad the Niners draft, what have they really done? Where's the youth? It's like, bro, you got to give up something. You traded your youth and you traded your depth for wins and for Super Bowl appearances. Now, it's your fault that you didn't get it done, but that's where all that shit went. So, traditionally, now we have to pay our way. That's the way I see it, man. You don't get nothing for free. I see this as a comeuppance of what we've been doing over the past couple of years. And the reason why I'm so optimistic about it is because we won 12 games. We were supposed to be ass this year, bro. Like ass. You know this, Jesse. We were supposed to be trash.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about trash. I think
you called Mac Jones coming in and playing like that. You called that.
No, but I picked 10 wins before the season started. It's not like I thought they would be trash. I think, listen, I don't want to poo-poo the season. I don't want to go that route again, super fan and negative fan. Like, I don't want to go that route again. It was great. It was cool for what it was. I do think it was a little bit of fool's gold. I do. So if we think that 12-win season means that they're guaranteed to get that again just by showing up next year, I think we're in for a rude awakening. This team has to be drastically better to have any chance at 12 wins next year, in my opinion.
But Jesse, that's what I'm saying though. Like I'm grateful for the 12 because I'm saying I am agreeing with you. Like there is a little bit of like gameism that happened for us. Things rolled the right way for us. That's why I said you called Mac Jones. I did not call Mac Jones coming in for a month and holding down the fort. I didn't see that, right? Yeah. Any other team, the season is over before the month of September is over. The season's over. We've lost 4 games in a row, and it's over. So you got to take the good with the bad, bro. The Rams threw away their draft. Yep. We already read that. Too Much Sauce 33. Is a day 3 pick supposed to be a starter or nah? Yeah. If you believe in a guy, you believe in a guy. I don't care about where a guy gets drafted, honestly.
No. I think that he's basically like he's asking the question, either being facetious and knows the answer, or is asking. No, typically you're not going in a day 3 going, this guy should be a starter. Like it's lottery tickets, right? You're going to get some starters for sure. A lot of there are a lot of starters littered throughout the league that are day 3 guys, but your expectation is not that your day 3 guys are going to start. You're taking flyers and you're hoping you can get some guys. That's what day 3 is about.
The top 10 guards in this year's draft, 90% of those guys are day 3 guys. This is a talented draft. It is what it is. I'm just being real with you. It's a talented draft, and there's going to be a run on certain markets and positions. And good players are going to get pushed down the draft. I'm telling you. So it's not necessarily is a day 3 guy a starter. It's what are you getting a guy for? And, depending on where you get him and what he's doing, it could just be the market that pushed him down. And he really is a starter, especially on O-line. And come on, can we stop faking like it doesn't take a lot to get an O-line together now? Not in today's league. You can do it in 2 years. It's not, they don't depend. Go ahead.
The statistics say 63% chance of finding a starter in round 1, 27% in round 2, 17% in round 3, and then after that, it's about 7%. So no, statistically speaking, you're not finding a lot of starters in those rounds. And if you do find some, then you did pretty well for the most part.
All right, Bill, not a science guy. I don't care about your damn numbers. George Kittle was a day 3 guy.
The 49ers don't care about him either, apparently.
Like George Kittle was a day 3 guy. Dre Greenlaw was a day 3 guy. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
They've done a great job, man.
James Foster, 2408. John Snyder missed on every draft 2013 to 2021, except for a few players.
And TV. They didn't. Once the Legion of Boom went down, they didn't win a lot. I mean, they were kind of in the mix, but they didn't. I mean, did they have any playoff wins? Any playoff wins? First of all, he put together a Super Bowl winning roster. That's number 1. Then he had bad drafts. They did. I don't even know that they won a playoff game once like that Legion of Boom kind of fell off. And that kind of goes to show you. And then he put together good draft after good draft after good draft. It did 3 in a row, basically. And that's what it took. And that's what got him there. So the 49ers can do it, right? Like they can rebuild this. This could be year 1. This could be foundation year 1, or maybe last year was. And this could be year 2.
I'm getting pissed
foundation
off with
year
you doing
2,
that. Like,
where it's like you could build towards something. But if last year wasn't a foundational draft and this year isn't either, you're kind of screwed. So we'll see how it turns out. And you don't truly, everybody hates it. Oh, you always say 3 years, 3 years. Yeah, you do. You need 3 years to truly evaluate most players. It's just the reality, man. You just do. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm trying to get out of this thing without locking horns with your ass. Do players relate to Kyle's blue collar roots? That's a joke. Bill Wenger, FS1 admin. We need a Pam Bondi hearing of Kyle's overtime Super Bowl call. The Dow is over 50,000 points. Can you imagine, Kyle? We're up here talking about my calls. The salary cap just got increased by $15 million. And this is what we want to talk about? My calls? Goodness.
Oh, man.
I thought that was a great joke. Frisco Shills. The Dow is... the Dow is at 50,000. If you know, you know. That's an 0187. If we go D-line in the first round again, either the D-line scouts or Kasarik need to be on the hot seat. Because look at how many high-round picks we've used and free agencies we brought in, and free agents we've brought in, and it still sucks and needs more.
There's a lot of assets put into that defensive line, man. A lot.
That's the core of what they need to do. That's the core of their offense. When we were at our best, right? 2019, what would you say our best teams? 19, 22, 23 were our best, probably best three teams. The defensive line was lights out. We need a front seven. It's just the truth. Steve Lewis, 114. Is Bosa worth a $42 million cap hit next season?
No. But this is the problem.
They're going to restructure them.
They're
going to kick the can. You know they are. They're going to restructure them. That's
exactly what they're going to do, and it's the wrong thing to do. Again. Every time they do it, I say it's the wrong thing to do, and every time it ends up being right. But you're right. I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to. Yep. Yes, they are. Yep.
They're going to give them a nice fat old allowance, lump sum. Sean for the win. Team should let the fans have the 7th round pick.
Just go at voting system.
Too much sauce 33. I'd rather have Jesse call plays than Kyle.
Hey, listen, I was just telling Coach before it started, man, my son's flag football team's cooking, and I call plays on offense and defense, bro. I'm just throwing it out there, man. I'm an all-around play caller.
Hey, man. Hey, look, we got so much more to be excited about. Just what you got going for the rest of the week, man.
Dude, I don't even know. I honestly don't even know what is life right now. I'm making zero promises. I'll see you at some point, though.
All right, man. I got Neutral Zone tomorrow with Chunderboy where we can talk about more of this combine stuff. I do understand about them not being good at the draft over the past couple of years, but it's not like we can throw the picks away, bro.
Hey, Coach, I know you didn't want to lock horns with me, but F off, all right, man?
I love you, man. I love you, bro. That's all I got for you, man. Love and understanding. This is the coach signing off. Stay low and keep your feet moving. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.